Oh hell internet! Today, Donald Trump was indicted, or should that be indicated, on a number of counts relating to the payment of hush money to Stormy Daniels around the 2016 election. These charges will go through the court process as normal, and I have no deep insight into the nature of the case, although I know that many commentators consider this to be one of the less serious and also perhaps less provable charges of the possible ones he is currently facing. But I do claim to know this. Donald Trump is not a good person. How can I possibly say that? I mean, if I cannot claim knowledge about a single case, then how can I possibly make the far broader claim that he's not a good person? Well, of course, to some extent, I can't, and such claims are always opinions and not facts. But let me flesh out my assertion with some things that support it. First of all, let's consider the fact that the nickname Teflon Don has been around for decades. He has always been considered the kind of corrupt businessman who actively avoids the rules and uses technicalities, creative accounting, and yes, bribes to avoid responsibility for it all. And the American justice system has allowed it. And therefore, we can say it has endorsed it, as it has done and continues to do with so many among the political elite. Second, let us consider his obvious libido and sense of entitlement regarding access to sex. This does not require that we take any of the specific claims against him as true. We need only take him at his own word. The Access Hollywood tapes.
I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab him by the pussy. You can do anything.
His known association with Jeffrey Epstein. He was far from the only one, but he is the only one who's gone out of his way to send well wishes to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is.
And what about his open claims that he would wish to date his own daughter?
The magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know.
The man wants it to be known that he desires and expects his every sexual need to be satisfied. Third, let us consider his blatant materialism and disdain for anything he regards as beneath him. Look at the garish and gross furnishings of his residences, and for all his claims to be a champion of the American workers, have you ever seen him meeting with them and directly talking to any of them? Even once? Let us not forget that around the January 6th insurrection, he was fine with what was going on until he regarded that actually the insurrectionists seemed to him to be rather low class, and he feared this might be making him look bad. Fourth, let's consider his complete lack of loyalty to anyone at all. Everyone should display loyalty to him, and yet he will throw anyone under the bus at only the merest hint of criticism, or even if he just considers it beneficial for him to do so. He claimed that he would hire the best people when he took the presidency, and yet his White House became a revolving door of increasingly less competent individuals whose primary qualification was that they would say only good things about Donald Trump. And after each of them left, no matter how long or distinguished their list of accomplishments, no matter how long they had been in service to the US government before the time of Trump, and no matter what glowing things he had said about them previously, what would he say? They were very bad people, they made great mistakes, they were incompetent, and they were just petty and ungrateful to their supreme leader. And that was all there was to it. Finally, I cite the fact that I know more or less what he would say in response to my claim that he is not a good person. He would say, actually, I am a good person. I'm one of the best people there are, in fact. Many people would say that I am a great person. And he would give no further evidence than that. He would not say who says that. He would not cite any examples of his goodness. He would consider it simply enough that if he says it, then it should be considered to be true. Is that the approach that a truly good person would take? For any true fan of Trump that has watched this far, then well done. I congratulate you on having at least some openness to other perspectives. But you're probably also thinking that I suffer from the much quoted idea of Trump derangement syndrome. This idea that something in the fact that Trump could become president has caused a kind of psychological event in my brain. And to this I say, yes, absolutely. I do not deny this fact, and I embrace it. The election of Donald Trump made me ask myself, why the hell did I spend any time at all in my life worrying about morality and learning to be a person with integrity? Clearly, the way to have safety and security in this world is to be the biggest bully, to have the fewest scruples, to have no care whatsoever for how my actions will affect anyone else. That is how Trump works. The Trumpist may come back and say that there is nothing unusual about Trump if we compare him to many other politicians of all kinds across the political spectrum and across the world. But there is. There clearly is. This is not to say that politicians are traditionally those of the highest moral caliber. Not at all, far from it in fact. In The Prince, Machiavelli claimed that the ruler who is truly virtuous and acts only with integrity will surely come to ruin. But he also claims that it is still to the ruler's advantage to appear virtuous, and they must at least avoid the reputation of extreme vice.
Grab him by the pussy.
Donald Trump is a symptom of the fact that in modern politics, the appearance of virtue is increasingly not required, and this is itself evidence of the regression of politics to a previous model. The divine right of rulers to rule and the ordained place of the masses to be content with whatever scraps they are given. You don't deserve a safe, uncontaminated place to live or a reliable transport network, but here is some water and McDonald's cheeseburgers. And all of this is demonstrated by the fact that modern authoritarians are again beginning to invoke religious doctrine to support their increasingly irreligious actions. Marjorie Taylor Greene responded to the Trump indictment by comparing him to Jesus. To which I would ask her, was Jesus particularly fond of grabbing pussy then? The amusing fact here is, of course, we don't know he wasn't. We know comparatively little of what Jesus the man was actually like. We only infer from the curated and sanitized version of him that is presented in the Bible. Maybe Jesus was actually an inveterate sinner. Maybe that was his struggle, and maybe that is how he was able to claim insight into the nature of virtue. He would not be the only person in history to be this way. However, I don't wish to fall into the same trap that many do, such as this person reacting to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
You QAnon lunatic! Hit her with the space lasers! Blast her with the f***ing space lasers! Get the f*** out of New York, you racist, sick, filthy, infected animal!
I would wish to turn the other cheek, so to speak. As I said, this new breed of politician, those whose rhetoric will not only disregard truth, but will actively spit in its face, these are symptoms and not causes, a cancerous outgrowth of a species in crisis, suffering through the addictions of historical contingency. I don't hate Trump or Greene, I pity them. They are slaves to their own egos, as are we all to some extent. We may pity them as we pity ourselves for being unable to prevent their ascendancy. The rage expressed by some of their critics is as much a symptom as the blind faith shown by their true believers. And all of it is in direct opposition to the peaceful message that has been propagated through history, that those who are truly kind and decent will treat their fellow man with dignity and respect, no matter if they agree or not.
Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Socrates claimed that it was better to suffer wrong than to do wrong. Jesus claimed that blessed are the meek. Nietzsche claimed that both of those were rogues who undermined the ability of people to authentically pursue that which they truly believed in. But even he thought that this doctrine of self-actualization must apply to all if it was to be meaningful for any of them. I wish to wrap it up here, and let me make it explicit if it wasn't already. This is also a work of rhetoric. There is no silver bullet that can be aimed at the underlying problem, no logical argument that can act as a salve for this ailment. And I have Trump to thank for one thing at least, that this new perspective on the nature of humanity has given me more freedom to speak out than I had before. If he can be satisfied with being such an unrepentant liar, then I can at least put out there what I see as being the truth, even though the very act of speaking in this partisan way means that I cannot be speaking the truth, but rather only offering my opinion. Bye for now. Okay.
Get him out of here! Get out!